now we have our institutional knowledge graph, and now we have new semantic data sets being built that are leveraging the IKG, and now we can start asking both simple, very simple, and complex questions. So we've been working with the enterprise search team so they can start leveraging the IKG information to provide to users who are using the internal portal to search for things. There's another application called a facility search. Now, the facility search application knows about, or before the IKG, they knew that a certain building and a certain room, they knew that this room, let's say 104, was a lab as opposed to a conference room or an office. But that's all they knew about it. It was just a lab. Now that they're leveraging the IKG, they can now know, the name of the lab, the organization that manages it, the associated people, and what's nice is they only have to come to the IKG. The IKG is aggregating this from several different data sets. So it looks like it should all come from one, but it doesn't. It comes from at least 3 different data sources. So you look back to our activity knowledge graph that I was talking about. So with this one, when you're when you're trying to do, you can answer more complex queries because now this is, these activities are associated with projects and people and organizations and topics and et cetera. There's a lot going on in that knowledge graph. So now we can use that federated query that Beth talked about to point to these 2 data sets and start asking, slicing and dicing across this information, which members were active in quality assurance during this time, which mechanical engineers with experience on rover missions, because we have that data. We know exactly who was doing work, day to day in that data set. So what activities currently in progress involving robotics, et cetera. You can ask these very complex questions because you have these linked data sets. Oh, okay. I think we're pretty good. So now back to remember our ideal state of being able to ask natural language questions and get answers. We're now evaluating some tools that can leverage RDF graphs to do that very thing. So we're just getting started doing that. So I can, at the moment, ask who started at JPL in 1980. And there are other people besides me, but I am one of them. And that's when I became a JPLer. I was a contractor before that. You could ask, when did Mars 2020 land? And so now you could actually get a date, as opposed to lots of documents you could possibly go read in detail. You get an answer. Which missions went to Venus, and who's the project manager of Psyche. So even though this is something you can Google at the moment, it's not an easy thing to just ask that question at JPL, because our search doesn't do what Google does, right? So this is what we're moving toward. But it's very hard to get people at JPL to adopt new things, so we'll see how it goes. But we're hoping to integrate it into search. Our hope is that if you're a regular JPLer, you go to the search page, you put in a question, in the back end, it's going to talk to this, using the graph, leverage the graph in the background to get an answer, and then also give you results across the lab. So that's we have lots of ideal states.